Living in Cornwall for me means that I've kind of escaped a lot of the burdens of living up north where I'm from.
Living in Cornwall is great for me. I've lived here my whole life.
You get beautiful landscapes down here.
Living in Cornwall is a mix of beauty and difficulty. The landscape and the coast are incredible, and there's a unique sense of community in some areas.
Living in Cornwall for me is a breath of fresh air. I've set my roots down here.
I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful place to live.
You also see some amazing wildlife down this end because it's so rural.
Well, I've lived in Cornwall my whole life, so yeah, I've never actually known any different than what I know now.
We may not have all the biggest chains and the latest restaurants and things, but we more than make up for it with our community.
It's a much higher quality of life compared to some other areas.
And I absolutely love living in Cornwall. What a beautiful, beautiful place.
But it can also be tough. Work can be seasonal, wages are low, and access to services can be limited, especially if you're struggling with mental health or need specialist support.
Living in Cornwall for me is lonely. Mainly because I do not have family down here, and I feel like everyone down here has a relative or a family friend that they've come up and joined.
Is suffering with mental health and not having the support, having to wait a long time to get the help you need.
There is no actual economy in Cornwall unless it's in the summer.
It can also be very isolating though because we're very dropped off by a lot of the governments.
Because of all the budget cuts in particular and everything else that's gone on around Cornwall, the fact that he just gets left behind.
If you look at the difficulties that business in Cornwall are experiencing at the moment, if disabled people are avoiding parking in towns where businesses are really struggling, that's basically turning away good business through just a lack of free accessible parking.
Groups around that need support and help, and particularly with dementia.
So things like public transport.
There is no public transport.
The public transport down here has been screwed over like crazy.
It's just terrible down this end. You have to pay for a taxi to get anywhere.
As a carer for my son, who is also autistic with complex learning additional needs, a disability bus pass, and he's got a disability rail card, but no way of using them without relying heavily on other people to support him to get to a town, which is more than 6 miles away.
So difficult to even do anything or get anywhere down. And all the services have either had so much funding cut that they're gone.
And half the time they don't turn up, and you got to get a bus from where you are to get to hospital, and that's normally about 4 or 5 buses to get there.
So, what can you tell me it's like to be a gypsy and traveller living in Cornwall?
Well, I'll say it's not really good because you're getting watched, you're getting stared at, you can't walk into a shop.
When you are going shopping in the store, you get followed around that shop until you pay for your things.
It's like everybody's on you at your age, like you can't do your own little thing because you're getting stared at and bullied.
You either get discriminated as soon as you walk through the door. No. For nothing at all. Just where you come from.
I got bullied. Over mum and dad.
You get discriminated over where you come from and how you live. You get discriminated for being a gypsy in Cornwall.
Because they don't listen. They do not listen. Not even a doctor's surgery will listen to you in Cornwall.
That's right.
They won't. I was 30 weeks pregnant and I told them that this baby's going to come out. They laughed at me and told me I'm crazy. Everyone slags everyone off.
The cost of living is crazy. The cost of food, the rent is insane.
Everyone's meant to be your friend, but they're not.
Still, I think there's a lot that goes unseen, especially when it comes to poverty, mental health and support for people trying to rebuild their lives.
Well, I think there's lots of friendly people out there in my community. There's lots of kind people who would donate their time and money to good causes.
No one wants you to work part-time when you have a kid.
Yeah, obviously there's problems in the community like any other Cornish town, where there's maybe some things that needs to be improved.
The system is full of inconsistencies, and there's not a lot of joined up thinking around any benefits or between government and local authorities.
I wish people knew that beneath Cornwall's picturesque surface, there's a community of volunteers working quietly but determinedly to ensure no one falls through the cracks.
There are things that we can have help with. I don't think voluntary sector is shouted out enough.
There's quite a few things different. If you're neurodivergent, for instance, you get a lot of othering because you don't fit. So you get excluded from a lot of things. That's quite difficult, especially when you live in rural areas. As a survivor of domestic abuse and sexual violence, I think it's really important to have somewhere safe where I can go and talk about things that I wouldn't be able to talk outside in the rest of the community, because it's a safe space for me.
And all the other organisations didn't exist, where would we all go?
Recognising gaps in services and filling those gaps in the services and bringing them out into awareness and saying we need these services creating, or we need to bridge those gaps in communication to make sure that other people can attend services.
You know, just feeling worthy, because when you suffer with mental health, you might not have good days every day.
Something I wish people knew about the Black community in Cornwall is that we are incredibly talented, creative, vibrant, respectful, and amazing human beings.
I wish that people knew more about the community in regards to different charities, and I wish people knew that there is so much that you can access, and I wish that people knew that there was such a supportive community around. I also think that I'd want people to know about this community as something that is non-prejudiced. I wish that people knew that people with convictions are not always the stereotypical thug. It'd be nice for people to understand rather than judge.
I just, around my community, I have character building, because there's so, characters that I make sometimes, and I put it in, a community way to help people through a living space and out in the community and their environmental experiences for their own, and that's me, because I really like my community. I love the people.
It's harder to live down here than they'd expect. It's not just easygoing, boho, beach life.
I wish people understood how complex and varied experiences can be in Cornwall. There's a strong sense of resilience here, particularly among those who have faced challenges like unemployment, mental health struggles, addiction, or the criminal justice system. But there's also a lot of isolation, and support isn't always easy to access. People often assume Cornwall is just a holiday destination, but for those who've lived here, especially outside of peak season, there are real struggles with jobs, housing, and opportunities. Community support makes a huge difference, but it's not always enough.
It's just that disabled people are here. Our wants, our needs, our desires are the same as anybody else. But we're denied these simple things by a barrack society that lets discriminatory practice throw up obstacles to how we wish to live, love, work and play in our daily lives.
I'd like to move. I'd like to go somewhere. We'd like to make some friends that won't discriminate us. Yeah. That's where we come from. We'll have a chat here. We'll be nice if they be nice to us, but we don't want the name Gypsy, Pikey and all that stuff.
Well, no, and that's.
We never claimed to be that. I never asked to be a gypsy. I got bought to be a gypsy.
The only thing they never really know about Cornwall is the fact that it's at the bottom. I feel like there's no other representation of what we actually are.
guess because sometimes you never feel like you're truly being heard. It's hard to ask questions.
To be heard, it means being able to live my life without restrictions, having a community to help me overcome those restrictions, and to live my life as full as possible.
To be heard means to be understood and believed, and to have the right supports in places.
Being heard is so important. When you don't feel like people understand you, they don't know where you're coming from, they don't see you the same. When you are listened to and understood without being judged, you feel seen.
To be accepted for who you are and what you need, and to be understood, validated as well.
Being heard to me in Cornwall is being part of the organisations that do help you. I feel like my struggles are being heard because I'm being helped.
To me, what it means to be heard is to feel validated and to feel like someone has actually acknowledged and taken what I've said into account.
To be heard, to me, is validation, recognition and respect. I think it's important that we listen to everybody's voices, especially those that are quieter or underrepresented.
To be heard means more than just having someone to listen. It's about feeling understood and valued. It's when someone takes the time to really engage with what you're saying without judgment or rushing to fix things. In my experience, especially in conversations about mental health and personal challenges, being heard can be the difference between feeling invisible and feeling like you matter. It's about genuine connection, where your words aren't just acknowledged, but also respected.
And being listened to means you can be part of change.
It's also nice to spread the word that there are organisations out there that can help you, to know that just because I've got a mental illness doesn't mean that my life's over.
I know that I'm not on my own with what's gone on in my life and around relationships and things.
I think when we listen to everyone's voice, we can make Cornwall an even better place.
Today we're in Cobra Valley Health Medical Facility. It's a good example of where I felt actually listened to. They asked us for our thoughts on access to the new facility, and those ideas that we put forward were implemented, and I'm sure that disabled people across the board visiting the centre will appreciate what it is that has been put in place.
It's really empowering as well, because it makes you feel like you're a valuable part of that community, and that what you have to say and how you can influence change really matters.
Everybody needs to be heard, and particularly groups or individuals who can't voice their own needs. So to know that where to come, where to go, where they're going to get help from, to get their voices heard. I'm really grateful.
How did that go, Tracy? That was just incredible. That was amazing.